Okay, let's just dive right into this. You know, for years, the basic rule of the internet was pretty simple, right? You type, you click, you scroll. But honestly, that always felt a little robotic. Well, that era is quietly dying out. The internet is finally learning to actually speak our language. We're moving away from navigating this giant digital library, and instead we're essentially having a fast-paced chat with an AI friend. So welcome to our explainer on conversational SEO. The whole goal today is to completely demystify AI search engines for you and really to give you the exact strategies you need so your brand can actually win in this new voice-first web.
Real quick, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the conversational search shift, then take a peek inside AI search engines, followed by intent and knowledge graphs. And stick with me, because after we get through those core mechanics, sections 4 and 5 will give you the new SEO rules and show you exactly how to structure your content for the machine. A highly tactical playbook coming right up. All right, section 1, the conversational search shift, from keywords to dialogue. Let's look at how users' search behavior has fundamentally flipped. Just look at the sheer contrast here. Over on the left, we've got traditional text search. It's fragmented, it's rigid. Best natural cat food 2026. It's literally how we've trained ourselves to talk to machines over the last 2 decades. But then, look at the modern voice search on the right. It is fluid, it's packed with context. Hey Google, what's the best cat food for senior cats with kidney disease under $100? People just don't want to hunt through a massive page of blue links anymore. They want to be told the answer directly. So your content absolutely has to mirror how people actually speak, not just how they type. Now, if you're sitting there wondering, why do I need to care about this right now? Well, consider this massive data point. 14.2%. That right there is the conversion rate of referral traffic coming from Perplexity's AI citations. And just to put that into perspective, compare it to Google's traditional search conversion rate, which is hovering around roughly 2.8%. That is literally a 5x quality multiplier. For digital marketers, this should be setting off alarm bells. Winning an AI citation isn't some vanity metric anymore. It is about capturing incredibly motivated, high-converting traffic. So what this all means is we need a totally new framework. Enter Conversational SEO, or CSEO. This is the practice of optimizing your digital content so it's easily discovered, understood, and actually cited by AI agents. You have to realize that large language models, whether it's Gemini, ChatGPT, or Perplexity, these are now the primary interface between the user and your brand. Instead of a person browsing a web page, an AI agent is essentially reading the internet for them and synthesizing an answer. If your content isn't built for that specific interaction, you run the risk of becoming completely invisible. Moving right along to section 2, inside AI search engines, the black box revealed. Let's peel back the curtain a bit here. Okay, so let's look at the actual technical reality of how AI engines retrieve and rank your stuff. What you're seeing here is Perplexity's 6-stage RAG pipeline. That stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. It kicks off with parsing intent, moves to embedding-based indexing, multi-method retrieval, and multi-layer ranking. But look closely at stages 5 and 6. Structured prompt assembly actually happens before the LLM synthesizes the answer. What does that mean? It proves citations are not an afterthought. They aren't just footnotes slapped on at the end. Citations are structurally embedded into the prompt before the language model even writes a single word. If you don't survive those first 4 stages, no AI is ever going to cite you. Period. Which begs the question, how do you survive those first 4 stages? Well, you have to survive what we call the 5-gate citation gauntlet. To even be considered as a source, your document is rigorously scored on freshness, content structure, topical authority, engagement signals, and domain category. And Perplexity is ruthless here. They apply a really strict quality threshold, reportedly around 0.7. Actually, here's a crazy failsafe. If the retrieved results don't meet that 0.7 mark, the AI will completely discard all the results and re-query the web from scratch. It would literally rather return nothing than give the user a weak citation. And when it comes to passing that content structure gate we just mentioned, this number is everything, 90%. The data shows that 90% of top-cited sources follow the bluff rule, bottom line up front. Simply put, your content must answer the user's core question within the very first 100 words. Those long, rambling blog introductions that bury the answer way down the page, yeah, those get heavily penalized and completely deprioritized by AI extraction algorithms. You have to give the machine the answer immediately. On to section 3. Intent and knowledge graphs, understanding context. Let's dig into how these systems actually figure out what users want. So this highlights some fascinating academic findings from the SIG-ER 2025 conference. Researchers are using what's called clue and reasoning prompts to force these large language models to actually understand the why behind a query. The AI has to actively collect semantic clues step by step to classify whether a user's intent is informational, navigational, or transactional. It's almost like a giant logic puzzle for the machine. But, spoiler alert, they aren't perfect yet. Large language models still struggle a lot with precision. In fact, recent studies showed a pretty surprising 37% error rate in AI answers when dealing with really short queries. For example, here the AI totally misclassified a navigational query like transfer number plate as an informational one. Why does this happen? Because generative AI models are basically hardwired to prioritize generation over strict accuracy. They desperately want to give you a long, helpful answer, even if they completely miss the specific intent of a short keyword string. So to help the AI overcome this confusion, we can't just rely on the old tactic of keyword stuffing. That's dead. Instead, we have to use semantic SEO. This means replacing those rigid keywords with entities. Think of entities as distinct, interconnected concepts, like a specific person, a place, or a business. When you focus on entities, you transform your content from a flat, boring list of words into a really meaningful, structured anchor inside a digital knowledge graph. You're basically spoon-feeding the AI structured concepts that it inherently understands.
And here is exactly what that looks like under the hood. Tools like Google's Knowledge Graph meticulously map raw data source schemas, like say a given name and a family name, into concrete entity properties, like a fully concatenated person entity, or it maps an organization array into a definitive job title. By structuring the data on your website this way, you are handing the AI the exact puzzle pieces it needs to power context-aware search and hopefully feature you right there in its knowledge panels.
All right, Section 4, the new SEO rules, EEAT and topical authority. It's time to pivot from the computer science theory into our actual actionable marketing playbook.
Okay, I want to share a counterintuitive truth here because this changes everything about how we publish online. In traditional SEO, a massive domain rating basically ruled the world, right? The biggest websites won just because they were, well, the biggest. But in conversational SEO, topical authority is king. We're seeing data from Perplexity showing that deeply focused, highly niche blogs can actually outrank massive publishers simply because of their specific topical depth. The AI is looking for the true expert in the room, not just the one with the loudest megaphone. So naturally, how do you prove your experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, your EEAT? You do it by building holistic topic clusters instead of just dropping isolated random blog posts. You really need to visualize the entire ecosystem of your niche. Prove your depth by writing interconnected articles that literally leave no stone unturned. Fill those specific content gaps and tie the whole shebang together with highly strategic internal linking. You want the AI to crawl your site and think, wow, okay, this brand has answered literally every conceivable question on this one specific topic.
And finally, Section 5, Structuring for the Machine, the Technical Playbook. Let's wrap this explainer up with the strict technical rules you need to follow to actually get crawled and cited.
The data absolutely proves the power of structured code, like JSON LD schema markup. Just look at this. Pages that are schema-enabled land in the top 3 citations 47% of the time. But without it, that drops to just 28%. Implementing structured data removes all the guesswork for those large language models. It explicitly tells the machine exactly what your text represents, whether that's an FAQ, a product review, or local business info. It practically doubles your chances of being the featured source. It's a no-brainer.
Now, you also really need to understand this concept called hard negative mining. Perplexity's embedding models actually use this technique during their training phase. For us, it translates to one golden rule. Pages that are just topically adjacent to a user's query get filtered out immediately. Your content has to be semantically precise, so if a user asks for best JavaScript frameworks and your page is just generally chatting about JavaScript performance, the AI's hard negative training is going to reject your page for being a near miss. In this new world, precision is literally everything. So, I want you to think of your content as scaffolding. It needs to be incredibly easy for an AI to crawl, extract, and summarize. This means you've got to use clear headings, bullet points, and nice, concise summaries. But above all else, you need blazing fast page speed. In a real-time conversational search environment, latency is an absolute deal breaker. If your site isn't technically flawless and lightning fast, an AI agent isn't going to sit around waiting for it to load. It will literally just grab the answer from a faster competitor.
And look, as we adapt to all these strict technical rules, don't forget your actual identity. When an AI summarizes your work, having really tight brand guidelines ensures your unique voice doesn't just get lost in translation. Take the time to define your target persona, map out your core values, your specific vocabulary preferences, and set up clear formatting guardrails. The goal is to ensure that even when a machine is out there speaking on your behalf, it still sounds distinctly, undeniably like you.
I want to leave you with this provocative thought. It's time to stop viewing search engines as these static digital libraries where you just drop off a book and cross your fingers hoping someone checks it out. You need to start seeing them as active, dynamic participants in a global conversation. So, the big question is, are you adapting your strategies for this voice-first web, or are you just going to get left behind? The window to establish your brand as a dominant authority is narrowing right now. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to start implementing